Welcome everyone to another video. So this time I'm gonna talk about my early impression of this game. I'm only around 10 hours into the game, so I haven't seen everything the game has to offer. So don't be surprised if I don't mention certain things that happens later into the game. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the animation, and that is the one thing everyone really cares about, or cares about the most. And for spoiler reason, I'm not going to show anything because some people watching this might not have played the game yet, or they haven't gotten that far. And I'm not the type who wants to spoil things for people, so bear with me here. Just gotta listen to me talk for now. So overall, the animation, I would say it's better. They definitely made some improvement in the animation department, although there are still some hits and misses. So far, I would say Gridman looks the best. They definitely dumped a lot of budget into Gridman, which I'm very glad, because I'm a big fan of Gridman, of the anime. After that, I would say narrative looks really good as well. Oh, I should also mention that I started in the space route, so anything from the Earth route I haven't seen yet. But yeah, back to the animation. So Gridman and narrative looks really good. Vegan looks very solid as well. However, on the other end, Knights and Magic really got the short end of the stick in terms of animation as well as the story. They were almost like a second thought, like they were like an afterthought. Overall, they did make some improvements, like I said earlier, but nothing too drastic. And if you compare it to the OG games, there is still some room for improvement. So hopefully in the future games they can further step their game up a bit. Okay, next thing I want to talk about, it's the tactical area select, one of their brand new mechanic, which I'm very much looking forward to. So the biggest thing I take away from this new mechanic is how much freedom it's given to us in terms of when or the order of recruiting the different series and mechs. So that, it's as they already mentioned in the trailers and the live events, this is pretty neat. This is brand new to Robo Ors. So for fans, if you like to use Code Geass or let's say Gridman ASAP, then you kind of have that option to pick them first. And then what's even more interesting is that depending on your order of missions, your later missions or stages, the events in there will actually change. And that, I would imagine, requires a lot of effort from the staffs from the development side, because they have to create so many different variations of dialogue just to accommodate this freedom, this new sense of freedom. So that I really appreciate it. But on the flip side, giving us this freedom of choice kind of makes the story feel a little disjointed. So gone is the days where everything, all the story, all the dialogues are planned. But now, because the devs, they don't know which order you're gonna go in, so some dialogues between characters might not be as natural, or they have to be kind of broad. But like I said, I'm still early in the game, so maybe once I have everyone, this problem will not be a problem anymore. But in the early stages, it does feel a little disjointed. Well, I'm just nitpicking here. It's not a huge issue, but it's just something very minor. The next thing I want to talk about, which is also related to the tactical area select, is the map, or mainly how you navigate through the map. So as you can see here, there's Earth, there's orbit, there's in space. If you want to travel between areas, you just press L1, R1. You can go to like deeper into Earth, and maybe eventually we can go to the other world. All these is fine. These are perfectly fine. My main issue is navigating to different areas within this map, this screen. So as you can see right here, I'm highlighted here. And let's say I want to go to Earth. You would think I press down on the D-pads or the analog stick, but it doesn't work. Instead, you have to press right for some reason. So that, I find, it's really awkward. It's a very small issue. I'm just nitpicking here. But it's little minor things here that will really elevate the experience. And this is why I find these maps is really frustrating to navigate through, and it just feels really awkward and clunky. And it's even worse because certain missions can only be accessed through these maps, through these screens, which I'll get to in a sec. So just a little bit of additional info about the map. If you're playing this on Steam, on PC, you do have access to a mouse where you can kind of just click on it. So that kind of helps, but I would assume most people are playing this on console. So like I said, navigating through this is kind of awkward, and I'm not sure if this is a PC issue or if console players are having this problem as well, but when navigating through these, there's a little bit of lag, of input lag. So that doesn't really help the whole navigating situation. Next thing I want to talk about are the Relic Missions. So these missions will give you bonus rewards, such as credits and power parts, and pilot points, and so on. So at first, these are just regular missions. You can go in, just beat the enemies and get the rewards, which is kind of true, but when in fact, I guess if I have to describe these more accurately, these will be puzzle missions. In a sense, they're kind of similar to the Tsume Robo puzzle missions from the handheld Robo Wars on Game Boy Advance and DS titles. So they're similar to those, where you go in, they present you with a certain type of scenario, and you have to beat the level within certain time limit. Usually, yeah, like all the ones I've done so far have a time limit, and these are the type of missions where they will encourage you to use all the different mechanics in the game. But unlike the Tsume Robo, where your stats and levels are preset, these doesn't have that. So if you want, you have the option to proceed further into the game, then later come back and just brute force your way through these puzzles. I can't say if I like that or not, because the Tsume Robo is cool because it really requires you to think about the whole situation and utilize everything you have, whereas these, at least for players who doesn't want to think too much, you do have the option to just brute force it, level up your mechs, and just say hell of it. Just get through it. So in that sense, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, them allowing you to brute force it, or not having a preset stats. Another small gripe I have with these Relic Missions is that you can only access them through the map. So you cannot just go to your mission list and play them. So you have to navigate through that clunky map to access them. So that is kind of frustrating because I just want to do them without having to go through a bunch of unnecessary maps and menus and stuff. So hopefully this is something they will fix in the future. But other than that, I would say these type of missions are very much welcome. I've kind of missed the Tsume Robo type of mini games or side missions from the handheld titles. So seeing these come back in a slightly different form, it's always welcome. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is the difficulty, which I believe it's a little odd and maybe even out of whack in this game. And that's mainly because of Relic Missions. Some enemies in those missions are at a much higher level. So if you take those few units and complete the missions with them, they will gain a lot of levels, whereas everyone else will be left behind. And normally that wouldn't be a huge issue in older Robot Wars, since enemies have a set level. But in this case, I might be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe the enemies, their level scales with us. So if you have a bunch of units that are level 15, and then you have one that's level, like a few that are level 30, that might mess up the average quite a bit. Or on the other hand, if you don't do any Relic Missions, then you might be stuck at a lower level, which I am not sure if it will affect certain missions later on. So this will be interesting as the game progresses. I'm kind of curious to see what happens later in the game in terms of difficulty. But that said, I would say this game is still relatively easy, around the same level as VX and T, so anyone who is worried about difficulty, this game being too hard, don't worry, this game is still pretty beginner friendly. So now let's talk about the main characters. And what we have right here is Edge, one of the main characters you can pick. You can pick between him or Azu as your main character in this game. But from what I've seen so far, I feel like he is the main character on paper only. Not to say that he has no importance, but I felt like most of the plot and focus, it's actually on Mitsuba. Although this could change later on, but based on my first 10 hours, I feel like she has received most of the attention in terms of character development and plot importance. So if I were to describe Edge as character 1A, then I would say she is main character 1B. And the same goes for Dreistrigger, the battleship. Because Hikubine 30, it is the main character, the main unit on paper, but I feel like from what I've seen so far, this ship has a much bigger role in the story. And gameplay-wise, I also have to say this ship might be one of the best ship I've seen in Robot Wars. Maybe right up there with Yamato. At the beginning, it might seem a little weak, but when you look at the potential upgrades you can give the ship, it can, and maybe will, become utterly broken. So in that sense, I feel like instead of the Hyukubine, this might be the actual, like, the main character unit. And for those playing this game, I highly recommend investing time and resources into this, because I have a feeling this thing will carry you through the game. So this is it for the video. Overall, I have to say I'm pretty happy with the game so far. The new mechanics are pretty cool, maybe a little rough around the edges, but still it's a much needed breath of fresh air. Especially when you compare this to VX&T, which does feel a little stagnant. So any changes, honestly, I very much welcome them with open arms. And I'm very excited to see what else this game has to offer. And when I finish the game, I will make a actual full-fledged review for this game. So look forward to that. And with that said, everyone, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys next time.